What? Oh, fuck's sake. Something about this place, don't you think? Depresses me. They call it a young offenders institute or something, but I reckon there's a few old ones here in this waiting room, don't you? Present company accepted, of course. What's yours in for, if you don't mind me asking? Same here. At least she's got a bit of colour now. Not so weedy as she was. That's got to be a good thing, don't you think? She's getting some exercise too. Makes a change. She reckons the gym's all right. I'm surprised at that, because she's never been into that sort of thing. Not like me. I love it. I'm down there every morning, 7 o'clock sharp. Well, you've got to put in a bit of effort, ain't you? Don't want to go to rack and ruin, do we? Not like some here, eh? What do you reckon? Still, small mercies, eh? She says the gym instructor's a bit of a star, tough but fair, if you know what I mean. Sense of humour. Well, you'd need one, wouldn't you? She's even doing weightlifting. I don't see it myself. She don't weigh no more than a bag of feathers, but a lot of the girls are into it, and I suppose you've got to keep up, ain't you? Got to look after yourself. You should see the size of some of them. It's a pity they don't have a swimming pool here. She's good at that. That's the only thing she is good at. She used to love it at home. When she was little, I couldn't get her out of the pool. Then when she was bigger, she went in for all these competitions. She was all right, I suppose. I don't know. It's not my thing. Never could stand the water, except in the shower. She had a winning streak then, which of course is a good thing, don't you think? No one likes a loser. But then there was that thing with that girl. The way they went on about it afterwards, you'd think she'd bloody killed her. And then their headmaster had a go at her. I reckon that's what's done it. Knocked the confidence right out of her. She went downhill after that. It's a shame they have to grow up, don't you think? She was such a good girl when she was little. I had such hopes. Do you know what she got? I don't mind talking about it, not to you. Can see you're all right. I never expected prison. I thought she'd get a community sentence or something like that, but I reckon the judge wanted to make an example of her, just because she comes from a good family, not some benefits junkie off of an housing estate. It's a disgrace. But that's the system, ain't it? They talk about victims. Well, we're the bloody victims in all this. Where was the help when we needed it? So that's why I'm here, if you're asking. Doing my bit for my baby. But really, would you want to spend your afternoon amongst all this lot, queuing up to be searched like it was us was the criminals, and her just staring at me in there, giving me the evil eye? What? I told her, I've got better things to do than come and see you. It's not my bloody fault you got prison. You shouldn't have done it, or else been more careful. No one in our family has ever been in prison. What she have to go and make it a first for? Still, it's her choice. I don't believe in laying down the law, do you? It only makes them do it in secret. Got to learn for themselves. She never had no restrictions put upon her. We never said when she had to be in or make her tidy her room or whatever. If she wanted to smoke, we said let her. She'll make her own mind up. And drugs. Do you really think they don't know all about drugs before they leave primary school? Most kids could tell you more about drugs than any policeman or social worker or whatever. Drugs is everywhere. Her life's her own. I believe that. Same as mine's my own and yours, don't you think? I blame her father for part of it. He never was around. I don't say he didn't do his bit. We both did. Always at it. Business. It's the way we was brought up. Well, if you'd started from where we did, you wouldn't want to go back. Still, he could have done a bit more, instead of leaving me to do it. but he reckons he's old-fashioned. He thinks it's a woman's job to look after the kids. Yeah, right. That's the one thing I do agree with women's lib on. I'm not the maternal type. You shouldn't have to do all that mothering stuff, not if you don't want to. I didn't. I do like the idea of a new man, though. One that helps around the house a bit, looks after the kids, does the washing, bit of hoovering. See that one over there? The one with the 2 kids. I could imagine him in a pinny. He could get me up against the spin dryer any day. He was always brought up to work hard. I don't see why I should apologise for it. Running a business ain't easy. It takes a lot of time. I might look all glamorous, but under the surface, I'm paddling like fuck. You know what? I'm angry. I am. We give that girl everything, and look what she's done. What does she think it's like for us? What am I going to say if someone says, "How's Miriam?" I suppose I could lie. I could tell them something like she's working abroad, works for Oxfam, helping kids in Africa, something like that. By the time she gets out, they'll have forgotten. I've done my best for that girl, and then she goes and does something like this. I blame the company she keeps. Surely she could see they were a bunch of maggots. I mean, the plans they had for them robberies, they'd never have worked. Even I can see that. It had to be a set-up. She's too bloody soft. They set it up so she would take the blame. That's the only explanation I can think of. That, or else she was off her head on drugs. Something like that. I don't know. Kids, say. Oh, don't think we didn't try talking to her, but you know what teenagers are like. Might as well talk to yourself. She just locks herself in a room or else storms off every time we went near her. Kids are so bloody ungrateful these days. We gave her everything. She never had to work, not if she didn't want to. Don't get me wrong, she is bright. Too bright, if you ask me. But if only she'd applied herself to something. Don't matter what. Never mattered if she wasn't no good at school. I never was, and look at me. Since she left school, the only thing she's done is work in a vet's. Well, she liked that job, but she couldn't get up in the morning, so they sacked her. Then she got into shoplifting. I said to her solicitor she didn't need to steal anything. She could have had whatever she wanted. She's a troubled kid. It's a cry for help. He said something about it's a shame no one was listening. Won't use him again. Anyway, the magistrate or whatever gave her a telling off and a fine. Good bloke. I could tell he was a soft touch just by looking at him. And yes, I paid the fine, I'll have you know. I could have taken it out of her allowance, but that didn't seem fair. She'd only have come asking for more. But then she started nicking stuff from us. First it was a bit of cash, just a few notes out of my purse. I knew, of course, but I didn't say anything. All right, maybe I should, but I was busy, all right? It was the launch of our new salon and I was working every hour God sent. Anyway, I would have given it to her. What difference does it make? Then it got to be a bit more. I had this ring. Jeff bought it for me a couple of years ago. Frankly, I always thought it was a bit flash, even for me. Bloody big stone. Cost a fortune. I hardly ever wore it. But we were going to this dinner and Jeff said I should wear it. It was mostly Asians and he said they like a bit of bling. So I looked for it. I couldn't find it anywhere. Yeah, by then it was getting late and so I slipped on something else. Not quite so flash, but it will do, I thought. And off we went. Unfortunately, Jeff didn't mention it again because I don't know how I'd have told him if I'd lost it. He'd have gone up the bloody wall. So I let it go. And soon after, Miriam disappears. Gone. For a fortnight. I don't know where she got to, but when she come back, she had this boyfriend with her. Said his name's Leon and she wants him to move in. I wasn't too happy about that, but she says she loves him and she gives me some talk about how he's just graduated and he's looking for a job and doesn't get on with his family and all that. So I says, all right, just for a while, just keep out of the way of your father. And then I lost my credit card. Someone must have had fun with it because they got through a few thousand in no time before I'd even noticed it had gone and stopped it. Leon disappeared about that time too, which I thought a mercy because I couldn't stand him loafing about the place doing nothing. After that, things went quiet. She was out most nights, but I didn't ask. Well, you don't, do you? Not once they're adults. Then one night, about 9 o'clock, just after I got in, there's a knock on the door and these two policemen are standing on the doorstep asking for Miriam. She wasn't in, but they said they could get a warrant easy and it would make things a lot better for me and for Miriam if I just let them in. So I did. And they found all this stuff in her room. And then there's another knock on the door and it's another policeman and he's got hold of Miriam and they're charging her with nicking stuff. I'd have thought she'd have been livid. She should have been, but she's so bloody wet. She just stood there sobbing, saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So, here we are. Turns out she'd been into all sorts. Breaking and entering, cars, the lot, you name it. I'm bloody certain that's where my ring went. Jeff insisted on hiring this barrister to get her off, which meant she pleaded not guilty. But when the case was made against her, it was so bloody obvious it was her, and so pleading innocent just pissed him off. Still, at least she didn't grass anyone up. I can't stand that. Can you? She's been in a few months now. I don't get down to see her much because we've got another new salon opening up and it's pandemonium. I can't say I enjoy it, being here. To be honest, I don't think she wants me. She's old enough to make up her own mind, don't you think? Could be worse. The food's crap. She's doing some courses, some certificates. She might get on yet. She says she don't want to go back to thieving and might even apply for the army when she gets out. That's if they'll let her. Oh, here we go. Ding dong. Time to go in. See you again, maybe.